Hi guys, I just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce myself and tell you how I went from being a corporate girl to an online fitness coach. Now, to start the story, I have to go all the way back. I have to go back to February 1992 when I was born. I was born with a clicky hip, and essentially what that means is that my ball into my hip socket doesn't sit properly and it ultimately clicks. And it wasn't set at the right angle. It should be like this, it's sat more like this. And essentially what that's meant is my left hand side is 2.5 centimeters shorter than my right side. So I walk with a limp, and my hip, I don't have as much rotation on my left hand side as my right. But the reason for telling you that is the reason why fitness has been such an important part of my life since February 1992. And I had some surgeries when I was a kid, and I was in a frog plaster at 3 months old, 6 months old. I was in the hospital on my 6th birthday, etc. I had loads of things going on at that time. But ultimately, when I got to school age, I was the kid that was on every sports team. I played netball, I played hockey. I was born in the 90s. Girls weren't allowed to play football back then. Rounders, all of those. I was that kid that was on all of the teams. So talking to the doctors, they decided, or with my parents, that I could have had some quite invasive surgery, and they decided that it wasn't the right thing for me to do, because if my hip wasn't stopping me doing anything, why should I have surgery to put myself out? But it always means that it's a constant for me in my life, and I stay very active so that my hip doesn't stop me doing anything. So fast forward a little bit further, whenever I was stressed, I'd put my trainers on and I'd go out for a run. Running was my release, and the way that I mentally coped with stress and other parts of my life. And that is still the same today. But a few things have changed along the way. So I also had quite a bad relationship with food through my teens and into my early 20s. As did a lot of millennials, right? We were told we shouldn't eat carbohydrates, and that skinny was cool, and all of these things. And that did mean that I had a bad relationship with food. I used to run in order to earn a meal. If I knew I was going out for a meal, I'd go for a run. Well, that's a really unhealthy mental mindset to have. But it continued as well. Then I knew that I wanted to get in my prom dress, so I massively slashed my calories. And I went on a gap year, and let's be honest, I didn't eat and drink very well at all on that trip, but I had a fantastic time. But when I got back, I had put on a lot of weight, and I really wanted to lose it. And I probably didn't do that as effectively as I should have done in hindsight. But it's just the proof that I didn't have a good relationship with food. And I then went on to uni, and that probably continued, really. Obviously, uni couldn't really afford to buy loads of fancy food, so ate a good but quite a low calorie diet. And I had a boyfriend when I was at uni who kept telling me to go to the gym. Oh, Ceri, you should go to the gym, you should work out, blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do it because he was the one telling me to do that. So I was very adamant that I wouldn't go to the gym because it would make me bulky. Girls didn't go to the gym. It was fine. I'll just carry on running. Funny that has now very much changed. But continuing on my trajectory through life, I then graduated, moved to London, and I was met with a whole new different challenge. I am from Somerset. I was moving to London from Durham, and I didn't have the same friendship network that my friends from uni did. So a lot of my friends from uni came from home counties. They were coming to London and had friendships. They had networks around them, and I didn't really have that. So I was then met with a whole nother life challenge with how do I deal with that? And I did what I have always done. I turned to fitness as a way of regulating my mental load and as a way of making friends. So I joined a football team, and that was such a good thing to do. Like, I was so happy that I did that. It gave me the fitness, it gave me the social network, And it was fun, right? More than anything. It was also supporting my corporate career. So to bring that into the story now, when I graduated, moved here to London and I got a corporate job. It wasn't necessarily a graduate job. Wasn't on a graduate scheme per se, but I was in a cohort with other graduates. And it was great to begin with. I was working in consulting, was getting such a variety, working on different projects, blah, 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 was earning quite good money at the time for a role of that nature. And I moved around a few times over 6 or 7 years. And there was always something, I think, looking back and reflecting on it now, there was always just something that probably wasn't quite right for me in that world and in that role. I was a project manager essentially, and I'm an extremely organised person. I am the friend who's like, guys, let's organise a trip, what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. But there was always something I felt like I could be giving more. Yes, I was helping clients, but I felt like I could be helping people more and in a different way. So last year, about this sort of time, so between January and April 2025, I was on what gets deemed in the consulting world the bench. And that essentially means that you are not on a client project at the time. And having worked in consulting for almost 10 years at that point, that's the first time I'd ever really been on the bench. And it was okay for the first few weeks. You can kind of enjoy a little bit of downtime because you're so used to the hustle and bustle of consulting and client demands. But when you go to a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, that really, really can take it out of you. And I didn't realise at the time quite the impact it was having on me. My confidence was just dwindling day by day. I had no purpose really to do a job. I'm a very goal-driven person and I like having things to work towards. And suddenly I didn't really have a reason to get up in the morning. I didn't have a client breathing down my neck, which I would normally have been against, but actually it has its perks. So I was suddenly in this sort of scenario where I didn't really have anything to work towards. And ultimately, that led to me burning out. I was having this battle with myself every single day to get up and work on something that I felt like I had no reason to do it. And I kept saying I was fine and it would be fine. And really, if I'm being completely honest, I was waiting for the call to say that I was being made redundant, to be quite honest. But I was just in this cycle, day, weeks, months. And I then got put on a project. And it was at that point, about 2 or 3 weeks in, I was like, oh my God, I hated it. I really, really did hate it because I was being treated like a graduate, but I'd been working for 10 years. And I just felt like I had no fight in me or no spark left to actually fight my corner or anything like that. And I used to get up and go to the gym basically every morning before work during the week. And I didn't do it for about a week. And my partner said to me, you haven't been to the gym this week. And I hadn't noticed it in myself that I'd done that. And that was a trigger for me. I'd always used fitness as my regulation. And all of a sudden I wasn't. And I was still saying I was fine. But really, I really wasn't. And the nail in the coffin was the day that I cried to a senior member of staff in a meeting out of just pure frustration of how I was feeling. And it was at that point that I really thought, I can't do this job anymore. And that was ultimately the catapult into my consulting, into my coaching life. And going back to what I said previously, I always felt like there was something missing in what I was doing. And I was currently working with a coach myself. I really liked the accountability and I felt like I could do something similar. So I enrolled on a life coaching course. I got my personal training qualification and I decided in the summer that I was going to take the plunge and I was going to give up the corporate life to go and launch my own coaching business. And that leads me to where I am today. And my mission for Coaching with Ceri is exactly that. I want to help other women, corporate women, who may be going through some of the same struggles that I have been, juggling the deadlines, wanting to progress in the career, but wanting to be fit and healthy and build a life that I can see rolling out in front of me. My mission for this business is to help women have both, because we should be able to have both. So I've created a program. The Corporate Confidence Method is what I'm calling it, because I want to get that confidence back that I lost when I burnt out. So that's my reason for this business, and why I really want to help other women in the same situation as me build the best and sustainable habits that they can. So that is just a little bit about me, and I would love to help you if you feel like you need some support in your workouts or your nutrition, or you want some help in how you manage your sleep and your hormones. I want to help women with women's health. So please subscribe to this channel and look out for my future videos where I will touch on all topics relating to women's health. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon.